And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today, taking a look at some clips from the news, and having a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And of course, if you are looking for the live portion, if you are listening to this anywhere else, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me in X at Coffee Talk Chat, and you can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. As I go ahead and take a look at some of the people who have chimed in and say hello. I see Johnny is here. Jane is here, wants to know if anyone's going to see Deadpool and Wolverine. Not me. Not me. Not a fan of cinematic Deadpool at all. Saw the first one, and that was enough. I can't even barely remember it. Gary Edwards is here. He says he's verklempt. He's at the wrong Coffee Talk. You need Mike Myers. Helter is here. Dragon is here. Spectre. Chillin' Dave. Rodney at 6 a.m. What is that, New Zealand time? Tuck is here from Fort Lauderdale, which is not submerged underwater, as was predicted 42 years ago by NBC Nightline. Joined today by Daniel. Daniel sleeping in the chair behind me, one of the felines that we take care of. Cyberjack Sr. is here. Brian. Keisha is here again today. Glad to see you, Keisha. Dilo, Sven, Fluke Man, they're pouring in today. Puck is here. And who else? Monkey. As we get ready to jump off. Oh, by the way, of course, we did show some of the film footage yesterday of the riots in D.C. with the Palestinian or pro-Palestinian protesters setting fires and fighting and spray painting monuments and such. The aftermath right now is that they are cleaning up out there. It's going to take a few weeks because many of the monuments are marble, and marble is porous, so it's going to take multiple treatments with acids and other chemicals to get the spray paint out of the marble. So they can't just clean it or wipe it off. It's not that simple. They left a lot of trash, a lot of burned debris. Several dozen people were arrested for violence. It was pretty ugly. John Boy is here. He says he's glad he made it. Yeah, glad you could make it today. Armored Ghost. Jenny, who set her timer. Excellent. Urban Angst is here from Canada. And Rodney says, did the kitty litter and the keep arrive at the P.O. box? I don't know because I was not able to get out there. I'm gonna try to get there this weekend. I have not been able to get back, but I will let you know, Rodney, when it arrives. And that is I'll put that right here. The wish list. Excuse me, the wish list for the Amazon cats. And I'll throw it up there real quick. And Keisha said that I sent an email. I did not see it, Keisha. I'll have to ask my wife because I haven't looked in there for a while. I have not looked in there for a while, but I will check since you mentioned it. And Chillin says California's going to clean up the homeless issue. Yeah, they're going to shuffle them around again is what they're going to do. Basically. Now, there was more going on in the news today about the failure of the Secret Service. The failure of the Secret Service during the Trump assassination. What is this? And this is from American Military News. If it comes up. Restream being sluggish again. Let's go. No, I don't want to see an ad. Let's go. Secret Service agents abandoned Trump shooter's roof, whistleblowers report. And this came out today also because there's more hearings on the subject. In a letter to Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, Senator Josh Hawley claimed whistleblowers have revealed that the Secret Service abandoned on the roof that would-be assassin Thomas Crooks used to shoot former President Trump due to hot weather, quote. And apparently this was revealed today in more congressional hearings officially. In a post on X, Hawley wrote, "Whistleblower tells me law enforcement personnel were in fact stationed to that roof the day of the Trump rally, but abandoned it, citing the heat. They also say law enforcement was supposed to be patrolling the building, but opted to stay inside instead." As part of his social media post, Hawley shared a copy of the letter that the Missouri senator sent to Mayorkas regarding the assassination attempt on Trump at his campaign rally. Hawley told Mayorkas that since his last correspondence with the Secretary of Homeland Security, whistleblowers contacted his office with troubling information regarding the attempt against the former president. And I'm like, that's really convenient that, and it could be true. Maybe somebody was supposed to be up there. Maybe somebody was supposed to be up there and they were like, nah, it's hot. Screw this. Nothing's going to happen, right? But then that just ties in too conveniently with Thomas choosing that particular rooftop and his access to that rooftop after they denied that there was a ladder there. First they said there wasn't a ladder. Then they said there was, whatever. Oh, there's supposed to be patrol outside, but they went in the building and they weren't supposed to, after they already said that they stationed men in the building on purpose so that no one would go into that building to access the roof. So which is it? Now we got somebody who says, nah, it's hot. I'm going to get off this roof. I'm going to go get cooled off or whatever. And then dude shimmies up there for 2 hours and takes up his sniping position. So is all that just really convenient so that we can create a scapegoat and forget everything else that went on, which often happens in government? A lot of this stuff doesn't happen by itself. And I'm wondering if we're just setting up for the possibility of a scapegoat here. I wonder if we're going to be setting up for the possibility of a scapegoat. Oh, it's all this one guy's fault. And forget about the rest of the Secret Service. Forget all about all of that. Let's just focus on this one guy. Because government loves to do that. That's what Fauci is for. If anything ever really comes down because of the C virus, it'll all fall on Fauci and not the 500 other people that are involved. You know what I mean? They love doing that. They love the whole lone gunman theory that applies to any situation. It's one person. It's just one. Like that story I've cited several times that took place in Massachusetts, where it was discovered that some 28,000 drug convictions may be false because the drug testing data was manipulated. It was falsified and admitted in court. Some 28,000 cases. People went to jail for nothing, or at least not without evidence. They went to jail without proper evidence, which means that their cases should have been dismissed. Massachusetts refuses to review those cases, but they narrowed it down to a single lab technician and put her up on charges. And you're going to tell me that over the course of like 7 to 10 years, one lab technician all by her lonesome falsified 28,000 official documents? I don't think so. But she's the scapegoat. Is this guy going to be our scapegoat? I'm waiting for it. Puck says it's too hot to be on the roof. Yeah, they were on the other roofs. They didn't have a problem. And Puck says FBI asset will wing Kamala Harris to boost her poll numbers. Yeah. Boost her poll numbers. She needs all the help she can get. All the help she can get. She don't need that much help because they sure are doing damage control for her quite a bit. There's a lot floating around. Chillin says she took one for the team. That's how she got the job. Chillin, that's how she got the job. So they're doing damage control all over the place to try to blow her up, to make her sound like the second coming. They really are. And I even read an article today. I don't have it pulled up, but I read an article today that said she's not getting enough press coverage, that it's being biased against her. Are you shitting me? Do you know how much attention she's getting? Everybody's kissing her ass, even the Obamas now. And Jane says, do you think Cheadle, the one fired, is going to be jailed because one man died at the Trump rally? Well, she resigned. She resigned, and I'm sure it was arranged. So I don't think that she's going to be jailed. I doubt that. And Keisha made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Keisha. Always appreciate it. Goes a long way towards helping our felines. Means a lot. As I've pointed out, we're currently taking care of 20 kitties. But getting into the article here, Western Journal, Congressional Scoreboard site purges damning page on Kamala Harris. And this is true. This was up on their website, and they pulled it down. They pulled it down just recently. With less than 4 months before Election Day, Vice President Kamala Harris is working at a disadvantage as she appears to have been chosen for the position at the top Democrats' 2024 presidential ticket. Fortunately for Harris, many in the establishment, media, and other institutions capable of holding her accountable appear more than willing to revise history in order to protect her, than offer any criticism to flourish. Most recently, a scoreboard ranking Harris as the, quote, most liberal senator during her time in that chamber has disappeared entirely from the internet. The webpage, belonging to a congressional tracking site called GovTrack, was live as late as June. An archived version of the post shows exactly what was thrown into the memory hole. Quote, these year-end statistics cover Harris' record during the 2019 legislative year from January 3rd to December 31st, 2019, and compare her to other senators serving at the end of that period. An archived version of the post reads, adding it was last updated in 2020. What the scoreboard or the scorecard revealed is damning for Harris's hopes of presenting herself as anything other than a radically partisan candidate. Compared to all senators, GovTrack ranked her as the most politically left of any senator. According to the site's archive page, Harris joined bipartisan bills the least often compared to Senate Democrats. The missing page also noted of the 471 bills that Harris co-sponsored, introduced by a legislator who was not a Democrat. Her track record only gets worse from there. So now this page has completely disappeared from all examples on the internet. That's convenient. All examples. Gary says the roof slope was steeper on the other roof where the snipers were. That's true. That is true. That is true. Armored Ghost says politics before was debate. Now it's character assassination. Next it'll be throwing spears. De-evolution. I wish they would throw spears instead. And what's this? Keisha says, I've been getting a ton of political texts lately. I don't know how they got my number. They got them from the DMV, Keisha. The DMV sells that information now. That's where if you start getting texts or flyers in the mail, it's the DMV sold your information. And Fluke Man says left-wing rioters are peaceful protesters, right-wing peaceful protesters are insurrectionists, but with video evidence that proves your innocence will downgrade you to rioters. No kidding. No kidding. And they're still in jail. They're still in jail. So, yeah, they're whining that she's not getting enough help from the media, but the media has buried this. And GovTrack completely removed its pages from the internet. Users, including potential voters trying to access the damning website, will now only see a page not found notice. Very convenient. Very convenient. And it gets worse. It gets worse because this is coming now. And what's this? Jane says today the shooter, Tom Crooks, had a bike here. First said had bombs in his car, and it diffs information. Also, some car there had windows shot out. Interesting. And Justin Case has joined us. Glad you could make it today. More information about Harris being altered. You've probably seen this. Daily Caller. Leaked Democrat memo reveals efforts to spin Kamala Harris's role as border czar. And I even saw a fact check from one of these agencies that says fact check. She was never referred to as the border czar. Really? How does that work? She wasn't? Are you claiming that there was some other official title that didn't say czar, and that's how you're getting away from that? But again, Daily Caller here. Democrats have reportedly been sending talking points to lawmakers and potentially others regarding Vice President Kamala Harris' stint as border czar during the ongoing migrant crisis. A Democratic lawmaker said they and some of their colleagues received documents with guidelines about how to discuss Harris's role in addressing the problem at the southern border. According to Outkick, a picture of the document has been circulating on social media. The memo includes various talking points such as, quote, there has never been such a position as border czar. Another says the vice president, quote, was not asked to lead on the administration's immigration or border enforcement policies. One of the lines said that vice president's role was only to, quote, focus on changing conditions in other countries, but not in the U.S. It appears Democrats and members of the press have already been using some of these talking points. NBC News published a piece in which it suggested that the term border czar was a term concocted by critics of Kamala Harris. Forbes published an article with the headline, quote, no, Kamala Harris is not the border czar. What to know about her immigration record, end quote. Democratic Representative Hakeem Jeffries also repeated that line, quote, she was never assigned the position of a border czar. They're making it up because the extreme MAGA Republicans are in a meltdown, he told reporters during a press conference. Oh, no. This after the House of Representatives Thursday has voted in favor of a resolution to condemn Harris and the Biden administration for their, quote, failure to secure the United States border. And that is a close-up. I'll close this up. I don't know if you can see it. Of the of part of that memo. Just wanted to make sure you could see that. That's the memo. But now we're just supposed to forget that. It's not even like this was that long ago. How Orwellian is that? Animal Farm, anyone? Pigs shall not sleep in a bed with sheets. That wasn't there yesterday, was it? Yeah, this wasn't even that long ago that she was given that assignment. Yeah, the press may have used the term czar, but the implication is obvious. Oh, but now she didn't do that. And lawmakers are getting memos warning them what to say, and media outlets are getting memos warning them what to say. And God help us, they're doing it. I mean, I know people are not that smart, but come on. Give me a break. Johnny Future here reminds us FBI Director Wray isn't even sure if a bullet or shrapnel hit Trump. FBI Director, did he ask Trump himself what struck him? No. Well, all you have to do is look at his medical report. They'll know. They'll know. Jane says, weird thing is, I had the name of the other shooter, Googled him now, no info at all. Wiped the kid's name clean, MK in his initials. And Puck says that Fox and Friends showed the talking points list, actual paper copy. Actual paper copy. As I try to catch up some of this. And it's incredible to me that the efforts that they're going through to try to put her on a pedestal like she's so great. Like she's so great. And it gets deeper than this. I'll do you one better. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'll do you one better. I see your notifications from the Democratic Party erasing the term border czar and getting rid of her liberal record in the Senate as you TikTok. As you TikTok. What am I paying for? There it is. And Jane just said, I bet you China's making a bridge to the US. Well, they're doing it via TikTok. So here it comes. This is a Politico article. What's fueling Kamala Harris's TikTok surge? Because suddenly she's the queen of the internet, according to TikTok. There's a vibe shift brewing on TikTok. The platform, which had been dominated by pro-Trump content, has been exploding with Kamala Harris memes, many of which are favorably highlight her quirky demeanor and tie her to the trendiest cool girl anthems. Even before Joe Biden's withdrawal from the race on Sunday, Harris memes created by TikTokers had dominated social media, flooding mostly young people's feeds with video edits of her viral phrases, quirky tangents, and girl boss moments, like the video of Harris laughing away with a hint of the signature Gen Z irony in the caption, which reads, "Why did I make this?" ? These memes paint Harris, who has rarely been in the spotlight during the Biden administration, as a chill auntie, someone who could dish out advice that is both a little silly yet serious at the same time. Now, and Chillin has to go. Sorry to hear that, Chillin. Glad you could make it. But on TikTok, prior to this whole thing with Biden bowing out officially, okay, TikTok was tearing her apart. Memes of her being a blithering idiot and very pro-Trump, okay? Now, all of a sudden, there's been a shift. There's been a huge shift. And it's no coincidence that China owns TikTok. And would it not be in China's best interest to have weak leadership in the United States? Tuck says Ray doesn't even use the word shrapnel correctly. Changed my mind. Yeah, there you go. And Puck says the left can't meme. I've heard that said. And there's Rodney. He says TikTok is owned by the CCP, or Chinese Communist Party. So, of course, you'll see pro-Democrat propaganda promoted there. You will now. And then Brian said, oh, it's going too quickly. Look at this. Brian said, do young women still dance like ridiculous clowns on TikTok? I don't know, because I don't have TikTok. I've never really given it much thought or attention. So I'm really not sure. I wouldn't be surprised, though, because apparently a lot of them make money that way, don't they? Don't they? And Urban says, gotta say, the American soap opera is at least more entertaining to a Canadian than our own sinister crap in politics. Yeah, we got a comedy soap opera going on, and you've got a dramatic one because they're over there with maids trying to kill everybody. And the Jericho says, TikTok is so cancerous it needs to be banned from all devices. In my opinion, it's full of shit, lies, cringe, and falsehoods that are plaguing kids because, let's be real, no one cares about them. the fact that Kamala is the new cool girl, give me a damn break. It's not surprising they're riding her like a wagon. Yeah. But yeah, they're blowing her up on TikTok. They're putting her on a pedestal out of nowhere. It's no surprise to me because, as was pointed out, I'm not going to bother to read all this because there's no point. She went from cringe to cool in 24 hours, right around the time that Biden took a powder. Possibly, because I've seen things on the internet talking about that they believe that the signature on the document where he resigned was a forgery. I've heard it all, and I don't know what's what, but I'm not going to get into it too deeply. And Jericho says he doesn't have TikTok. He forbids his kids from accessing it. YouTube is bad enough. You are right. All of social media is toxic, all of it, but some is worse than others. And Gary says TikTok is the Gong Show. No, Gary, the Gong Show was actually entertaining. I used to watch the Gong Show. I'm that old. The Gong Show was kind of fun. TikTok is something else entirely. And you saw this coming. While we're on the subject, we may as well hit all four corners. We alluded to this the other day, reluctantly, but they eventually did it. The official Obama pat on the back for Kamala Harris. Official now. And Johnny says he hasn't heard anything about whether or not the females were actually Secret Service. Don't say anything. Yeah, I've heard a lot of rumors that they were actually borrowed from the Department of Homeland Security. They're basically desk jockeys, like investigators who sit in front of a computer all day, which would explain why they're so desperately out of shape and unable to holster a weapon, if nothing else. Associated Press article: Barack and Michelle Obama endorsed Kamala Harris, giving her expected but crucial support. Aw, Kamala, we love you. Look at that. Look at them get along now. That was like pulling teeth to get that endorsement. Yeah, that's who you want the endorsement from. Two-term failure of a president who on the second term ran on the platform of give me another chance. And we did. I didn't vote for him, but you know what I mean. I didn't vote for him. I wouldn't. Brian, talking about TikTok, I imagine, says people use it because attention spans are the lowest they have ever been. They can't even sit through a television episode. No. Well, you know, autism is on the rise. And I believe it has a lot to do with vaccinations. Because even in the 90s, autism spectrums averaged about 1 in 10,000. Now they estimate it could be as high as 1 in 35 people. What's changed? We went from like 6 vaccinations to nearly 100 now. Let that sink in. But yeah, what attention span. But here it is, officially now. Former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama have endorsed Harris in her White House bid, giving the vice president the expected but still crucial backing of the nation's two most popular Democrats. Are they? I'm tired of seeing them. I wish they would just disappear. Go away. Retire. The endorsement, announced Friday in a video showing Harris accepting a joint phone call from the former first couple, comes as Harris builds momentum as the party's likely nominee after President Biden's decision to end his re-election bid and endorse his second in command against Republican nominee and former President Trump. There he is. Hi, I'm so smug it makes me sick. The smuggest man on earth. He's got that cat with the canary in his mouth look, because he sure does. It also highlights the friendship and potentially historic link between the nation's first black president and the first black woman, and first person of Asian descent to serve as vice president. who is now vying to break those barriers at the presidential rank. Oh, history! History, I tell you. Quote, we called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office, the former president told Harris, who is shown taking the call as she walks backstage at an event, trailed by a Secret Service agent. Yeah, that wasn't staged at all. Said Michelle Obama, I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic. Harris, who has known the Obamas since before his election in 2008, thanked them for the friendship and said she looks forward to getting there, being on the road with them in the 3-month blitz before Election Day in November. Girl. Okay, I added the girl part. Flukeman suggests that Chinese TikTok algorithm is different from the rest of the world. China's version is more about propaganda, education, better yourself, and etc. The other TikToks are to feed your brain with worse trash. Yes, I have seen that. And Keisha says, I don't think society's ready for a female president. I don't think society cares, but give us somebody who's actually qualified instead of another damn puppet. I don't care if there's a female president, but not her. Give me a break. Give me a break. I'm tired of these. Career politician failure people being in the upper echelon of politics. I'm sick and tired of it. People that have been in there for decades, done nothing, like Biden, 50 years. 50 years. Gary Edwards says, what if Biden resigns, then Kamala slides in automatically into the Oval Office? Correct. If he does not finish out his term, she becomes officially the president, replacing him. But then she would still have to run, and it would be her first term. It would be her first term. Just in case, got a kick out of the impersonations there. And Jane says, other countries have had female leaders over the last 30 years. It's time for the U.S. to get a female. Sure, but not these people. Not Michelle Obama, not Kamala Harris, not Hillary Clinton. These people are evil. They're evil and they're career politicians. They're the worst. And Michelle's not officially a politician, but she's tied in with it. I want to see someone who's actually qualified. And Johnny suggests that she'll actually be the first DEI president. That's closer to the truth. That's closer to the truth. So there we go. She got the official nod from the president of the Good Old Boys Club here. And Urban Angst says it's a dangerous moment when people feel that compromise is not possible. Not possible. Well, you know, when you compromise, though, you give something up. So if you're not getting anything back, then you're a fool for compromising. So it depends. And Sven says, judge people on the color of their skin, not the content of their character, spoken like a true Democrat. Who, me? Not me. But like I said, I don't care who it is, as long as they're going to do the job. As long as they're going to do the job. And Donna Beaver is here, says, just got home and they'll watch it again. Well, I'm glad you could pop in. I don't care what color they are. I don't care what gender they are. Are you going to be honest, and are you going to do the job? And I don't think these people are honest, and I don't think they're going to do the job. Oh, they'll do a job on us, but they're not going to do what they're supposed to do. What the job entails. And that's how you end up with stuff like this while we're on the subject. Another Newsweek article. Newsweek is getting like sickeningly political as far as its pandering is concerned. Newsweek, my fellow black men, it's time to get in line behind Kamala Harris, by Jason Nichols. As soon as then Senator Kamala Harris stepped into the national spotlight in the 2019 Democratic primary for the presidential nomination, she instantly became a victim of disinformation campaigns to smear her reputation and divide black communities along gender and class lines at the height of a nationwide conversation about black men finding themselves victim to disproportionately harsh sentences, police brutality, and fatal encounters. Harris's record as district attorney and attorney general were skewed with out of context data and outright distortions. Also, none of it's true, apparently, according to Newsweek. She was giving the moniker of, quote, Cop Mala by those who were justifiably frustrated by a lack of police reform, accountability, and overall change in the criminal justice system. But the truth has since been exposed, has it? I still hear people complaining about her doing that to people. And they're seeing large numbers of black men will enthusiastically back Vice President Harris. She was a progressive prosecutor for the time period she was district attorney and has been an integral part of an administration that has gotten results for black men, women, and families. Is that true? But the title says it all here. It's time to get in line behind Kamala Harris. And this is the argument. This is the argument. The ultimate argument. That if you're black and you don't vote for her, you're not black enough. And if you're white and you don't vote for her, then you're racist. And if that's your talking points to get me to vote for her, you don't deserve my vote. I'm tired of that stuff. Tired of it. Sven says, not you. Sorry about that. Democrats and the media. No problem, Sven. No harm, no foul. I'm tired of that being the talking point of all these people. You can't tell me how she's gonna do the job. You can't tell me how she's honest. You can't show me anything from her track record that justifies her being in this position, even in the position she's in now. But you're going to pander to black people, just like when Biden sat there and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Probably the first time he said ain't in his life. Trying to be down on the radio show. When he, because wasn't he talking to Charlemagne? I'm not going to read his whole title, say his whole title, because he doesn't deserve it. Nobody should call themselves God. But you don't, but your talking points here are your voting points. If you're black, you have to vote for me because I'm black enough, I guess, as far as Kamala is concerned. Black enough. And if you're white and you don't vote for me, then you're either racist or misogynist or both. Aren't you tired of getting labeled? Anybody? Anyone else sick of being labeled? And Puck says Newsweek is worse than the National Enquirer. It's gotten to that point, hasn't it? It's about gotten to that point. And Anarchy has joined us. And I see Nature Nerd is in here as well. Glad you could make it. It says, Nature Nerd says Trump 45 and 48 if Kamala is president for a few months. Yeah, I guess she would technically, even though it's only 3 months, she would technically be, because that did count for Roosevelt, because it was Roosevelt, right? Didn't he take over for somebody? I'm trying to remember. I might be mixing them up. Flukeman says Biden, Harris, Obama, and uncountable people just like them are just riding on the shoulders of George Washington pilgrims and modern-day hardworking Americans. Jane says black enough. What does that mean? Well, basically, if you are a person allegedly of color, and this is the argument that's been made for Kamala. It's the same argument that was made for Obama when he ran, to try to guilt black voters into voting for them. And they didn't use the term black enough specifically, but they suggested that if you are, what's the term? If you are black and you won't vote for them, it's because you're pandering to white people, i.e., not black enough. It's a way they're trying to guilt them into voting for her. Urban Angst says at this point, why not go full eugenics and force everyone to submit to a DNA test to find out exactly what their genetic percentages are? Well, then they'll have your DNA on record. Then you'll have it on record. I'm trying to remember what the term was that they were using. Your white associated or something like that. I can't. If I remember, I'll say it. If I remember, I'll say what it is. But that's where they're getting to. That's where that's what the direction that they're heading in. And it was done during Obama's run, and it's being done now. Oh, you have to, you've got to vote Democrat if you're black, or else you're not. And Puck says, according to CNN, Trump is polling 21% with blacks. What did they interview? 600 people? Always look at those poll numbers. You can't trust any polls. You can't trust any polls. As I try to catch up here. That's it, Tuck. Thank you. White adjacent. I couldn't think of the term. They call it being white adjacent, even though adjacent, I believe, is a mathematical term, correct? But yeah, they call it white adjacent. You're white adjacent if you're black and you don't vote for a black person automatically, regardless of whether or not they're a good candidate. And it's used for guilt. Inspector says they seem to think we all have a lot of our memories quite disrespectful. I think a word was dropped there. I just talked about this this next thing. I just talked about this yesterday, right? Yesterday. And that's Christopher Dunn. You remember Christopher Dunn? We just talked about him. And he's in Missouri. And they were refusing to let him out of prison. Okay? They refused to let him out of prison, even though it was discovered. He's been in prison for almost 34 years. It was discovered that he was innocent. They can prove he's innocent. The judge reviewed the case. They exonerated him and ordered the prison to release him. And they've tried twice now to send orders to the prison to let him out. Okay? Check this out. And this article comes from Law and Crime. Morally and intellectually bankrupt lawyer for the exonerated man kept in prison slams last-minute order by Missouri Supreme Court. Wait till you hear what they did to this guy. Because remember, again, we just read this story yesterday. Anytime I come across a story where somebody's been in prison for a really long time, I like to talk about it. Christopher Dunn is seen at the South Central Correctional Center in Licking, Missouri. The Missouri Supreme Court blocked the release of wrongfully convicted man Wednesday, issuing a last-minute order for him to stay incarcerated just as he had exited the prison facility and was waiting for his ride. So the prison finally let him out and they rearrested him. Christopher Dunn, 52, has served 34 years behind bars for the 1990 murder of 15-year-old Rico Rogers. However, the evidence used to convict Dunn was primarily the testimony of two child witnesses who recanted. St. Louis Judge Jason Seninger held a 2-day hearing in June, after which he ruled that the information presented was enough to show clear and convicting evidence that Dunn was actually innocent. Seninger wrote in his ruling that no juror acting responsibly would have voted to find Dunn guilty of these crimes beyond a reasonable doubt and ordered Dunn's immediate release. Seninger directed the prison to release Dunn by 6 p.m. Wednesday and threatened the prison warden with contempt if Dunn remained behind bars. However, Attorney General Andrew Bailey opposed Dunn's release for years. After Seninger's ruling, Bailey filed a motion asking Dunn to be forced to stay in prison while he appealed the finding of actual innocence. Missouri's top court granted an emergency stay of Dunn's release order Wednesday, thereby keeping Dunn in prison indefinitely. According to the Associated Press, Dunn was already out of the prison facility with his wife en route to receive him when the news of Bailey's victory at the Missouri Supreme Court reached him. Missouri's Department of Corrections spokesperson Karen Pojman reportedly called the situation chaotic, as Dunn was in the process of signing release paperwork at the moment the court put his release on hold. Unbelievable. Johnny says, same argument can be if you're black and don't vote for a white person, then you're racist. No, it doesn't work that way, Johnny. Sorry. Racism only travels in one direction, apparently, because that's how it's been represented in the United States since the 1970s. Oh, if you're black, you can't be racist. But again, we just talked about this guy the other day. We just talked about him yesterday. Because he was part of that Innocence Project. And they won't touch you if they think there's a chance that you could be guilty. If they look at the case and they're like, wow, this is messed up, they'll represent you. And they fought for him. They got him off. They've helped a lot of people in the Innocence Project. They went to the judge. The judge looked at the evidence. There's two child witnesses. They recanted their stories. And he's like, oh, this is bullshit. All right, let the guy out. Let him out. This never should have gone to court in the first place. The district attorney fought it. The warden refused to let him out after being directly ordered twice and threatened with contempt of court. And then they finally decide to release him. They put him back. They put him back in jail. Oh my God. And Tuck says, lesson learned, never stand near a jail or a prison. And Kimberly wants us to know Kamala's grandparents owned slaves. I have heard that. I don't know too much about it, but as I understand it, in the Caribbean, her grandparents owned 120 of them. Is that correct? I read that somewhere. You won't hear her claiming that, though. But this poor guy, I mean, that's going to drive him crazy. He's already not who he was. This guy is not who he was when he was put in jail in the first place. But the turmoil of that, of getting kicked in and out, or being kicked around, it's an abuse of the system. It's a complete abuse of the system. In case anybody wondered why I don't trust the justice system, here you go. Here you go. I've seen way too much of this, even when I worked within that system, when I worked for the Juvenile Justice Authority. It's a lot of dishonesty, a lack of transparency, a lot of cruelty, corruption. It's terrible. But we're supposed to trust these people. Sure. Sure. And then stuff like this goes on. Stuff like this goes on. And the lawyer says it's morally and intellectually bankrupt. Yes. This is why when they talk about the justice system, people hyphenate it and say just us, because there is a very strong same team mentality. Very strong same team mentality. And they're all out to get you. They're all out to get you. And people end up getting buried like this guy. I mean, yeah, there's people that are in jail that are guilty, but there's a lot of people that are in there that are innocent, or that are not receiving a punishment that actually fits the crime because somebody wants to send a message, or they want to put a notch in their belt because what they're doing is political. If you're a judge or you're a district attorney or whatever, you're political. And for these people, that's more important. That's more important than whether or not somebody was innocent or not. And trust me, they don't care. They don't care. And the most you can hope for is a feeble apology with no legitimate sentiment behind it. No, on behalf of the department, we're really sorry that you spent 48 years in prison and you were innocent. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and if you were wondering where your next big medical scare is coming from, get ready for this one. And Puck says, like the jailed J6ers, yes. Yes. Because that's purely political. There's no way that they should have gotten sentences like that. Some of these guys have gotten decades-long sentences just for being there. Metro article. Oh, look at the kitty. That's not a kitty. That is a rodent. The kitties are in here, and there's no rodents anywhere near my house. Rat disease with no cure has spread to humans and killed 4 people. Oh, here we go. A rodent disease that can be spread to humans and has no cure has killed several people in the U.S. and prompted a health warning. Cases of hantavirus, H-A-N-T-A, hantavirus, which is spread from rodents to people through viral droplets from handling materials with the animal's urine, saliva, or feces, are on the rise, according to the Arizona Department of Health Services. From the beginning of January to the start of July this year, 7 cases of hepatopulmonary syndrome, have been confirmed in Arizona. 3 of them resulted in death. The syndrome is a severe and sometimes fatal respiratory illness caused by the infection with hantavirus, stated the agency in July. And this is a map of hantavirus cases by state. So it's in most states. It's not in Georgia. Hey, I don't have to worry. You don't have to worry if you're in Alaska either, apparently. Or Missouri. None in Missouri? Okay. So cases of hantavirus. And the red ones are 50 or more cases. Like New Mexico, it looks like it says 119. Wow. So 50 or more cases, red zone. The sort of, I don't even know what color that is for sure. That's sort of a beige. The next color down, 16 to 50 cases. And the lighter color is 1 to 15 cases. Like Maine has 1 there. Massachusetts, it looks like it has 1 case. Connecticut, 1 case. So on and so forth. West Virginia had 2. Oklahoma has 8. Hantaviruses. Hantaviruses. It says, in addition, there have been 2 hantavirus cases in California and 1 death. Symptoms include fever, headache, muscle aches, quickly making it hard to breathe. Hantavirus has been found mostly in deer mice in the Grand Canyon state and is not spread on human-to-human contact, but is not confined to a specific region. It can be present in many areas of the southwestern region of the United States where there is rodent activity, even if mice are not seen. Well, you know, if you don't let them do this, you don't have too much of a problem. I'm surprised there aren't more in New York, actually, because New York is practically overrun with them right now. It's really bad. It says 6 cases. So there's your new... Gary Edwards says hantavirus has been around for decades. Yeah, but they got to blow it up now to scare you. Here it comes. Here it comes. Brian says, my coworker said we should increase legal punishments for stealing or other crimes like taking off arms, or I think he said even killing them, because they will be less likely to commit crimes. Thoughts? No, well, you got to do it the biblical way. You got to make them compensate for what they did. Putting them in jail or giving them a fine does not correct the problem. It doesn't correct the problem. Okay? Now, if you stole from a store, okay, let's say somebody goes and shoplifts something that's worth $100, and he was forced to come back to that store and work there for free for the equivalent of 2.5 times the value of the thing that he stole, how long do you think he would want to keep doing that? You know, I'll tell you, when I was a kid, I got busted shoplifting. Like a million years ago, I stole rocks in bedrock on the Flintstones. But I got caught shoplifting. They sent me to court. They put me on a work detail. Okay? They had me cleaning the restrooms at the courthouse. You think I wanted to steal anything else? Although I should have had to clean the restrooms at Caldor, because Caldor is who I took something from. You see what I'm saying? Not at the courthouse. But if you were made to, through labor or some other means, reimburse back directly to whoever you harmed in a biblical fashion, then people would be less likely to commit those crimes. You know what I mean? Spectre says they got a large increase of scorpions in Southwest Texas. We get them. They're the little tiny ones. I haven't seen any around where I am, but I know that they've got them in Georgia. I've seen them. They get into people's houses too. Let's talking to Puck. Let me just make sure I'm caught up. And Brian says that sounds unpleasant. Yeah, exactly. But that's the point. You're made to, if you were made to reimburse, either pay it back, because biblically speaking, like examples they might use, if you stole a sheep, you owe 2 sheep back, something like that. Nobody wants to deal with that. And if I get arrested and I have to pay a fine or I have to do jail time, all I'm doing is burdening taxpayers or giving money to the state. The person that I stole from is not getting anything. It's fake justice. It's fake justice. And Johnny says, do they still make inmates go out and pick up road trash? Yes. Yeah, but still, I mean, you're helping the county, and they're still getting paid for it. Anyways, with that, We are at the top of the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. The Jericho, he says, 1 billion years ago. Yeah, I ran around barefoot. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. Daniel stayed with us the entire time, asleep in the chair there. Thank you, Daniel. Special thanks to Keisha, who made a donation to the channel today. And I'll put that link back up again, since Rodney asked about it earlier, because Rodney sent something to the P.O. box, and I got to try to get out there this weekend and check. So with that, again, thank you everybody for joining us here today. Hope you got something out of the conversation, and we will catch you